we're going to start with the first chapter from our snapshot book. But before starting a lesson, I want to give a thought for the day, and the thought is, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Yes, we all have been listening to this proverb right from the very childhood. So what does this thought tell you? This thought, the meaning of this thought is, you should be eating an apple. In general, we can term it as fruits, taking into account today's scenario. Why? Like we should be eating more of citrus fruits so that we get vitamin C. As vitamin C has the capability of fighting with the diseases, with the bacteria. So I hope you all will have lots of fruits, drink lots of water, and stay healthy, stay safe at home. Now to start with the first chapter of Snapshot book, the name of the chapter is The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, and the writer is William Surrey. Now the story is about two Armenian boys. Right? It is about two Armenian boys who belong to a tribe, Armenian tribe. A tribe in Armenia called Grigorian. Right? Now this tribe is particularly known for its honesty. People in this tribe are known for their honesty, and that is how we are going to deal with these two poor boys belonging to that tribe, and how do they behave, and what is the effect of it on them later in the chapter. So that is what we are going to read here in this chapter. So let's start the chapter. One day back there in a good old days, when I was 9 and the world was full of every imaginable kind of magnificence, and life was still a delightful and mysterious dream, my cousin Murad, who was considered crazy by everybody who knew him except me, came to my house at 4 in the morning and woke me up tapping on the window of my room. So the two boys in the story are Aram and Murad. They are cousins. So when Aram is saying when he was 9 years old, so at the time when he is reciting the story, he is quite grown up. So it is the flashback. He says that when he was 9 years old, then what happened? The life of a 9-year-old child is full of imagination. A lot of learning process goes on at this age. So at this time, Aram says that one day, it was a summer time, and one day early at 4 o'clock, he could hear somebody calling at him, tapping. And he looked out of the window. What did he see? He saw Murad, his cousin, whom he calls crazy. Crazy because Murad is very lively, very energetic and very mischievous. So he is like a free bird. He does what he wants to. And so he says that Murad was there sitting on a white horse, and he was tapping at the window and calling me. Aram, he said. I jumped out of bed and looked out of the window. I couldn't believe what I saw. It wasn't morning yet, but it was summer, and with daybreak not many minutes around the corner of the world, it was light enough for me to know I wasn't dreaming. So he says when he peeped out of the window, he saw something which was unbelievable, but still he says that he had to believe it because the day had not completely wind broke out, still because it was summer, he could see the things clearly, and that was the reason why he said that he was not dreaming. My cousin Murad was sitting on a beautiful white horse. I stuck my head out of the window and rubbed my eyes. Yes, he said in Armenian, it's a horse. You are not dreaming. Make it quick if you want to ride. So he says that it was my cousin Murad who was sitting on a white horse. So in order to wake him out from the thought maybe that he was dreaming, he just tried to rub his eyes. And as he rubbed his eyes and looked out, again he could see the same thing, that Murad was sitting on a white horse. And then he said in Armenian, Murad said in Armenian, that is the tribal language for the tribe. And in that he is saying, yes, it's a horse. Right? So he is confirming to what Aram is seeing. And then he says, if you really want to have a ride, come out quickly. I knew my cousin Murad enjoyed being alive more than anybody else who had ever fallen into the world by mistake. But this was more than ever I could believe. So again he is telling us the characteristic of Murad. Murad is very lively, he says. He wants to enjoy life to the fullest. Right? And maybe he has come into the world by mistake. Why? Because here, when we are living in the world, we have to think about our society, our family, and everybody around us. But Murad is not that sort of a person. He is in his own world. He is not bothered about what society, what world, or what anybody else would think or speak about. In the first place, my earliest memories had been memories of horse, and my first longing had been longings to ride. So he says, as far as I remember, right? As far as I try to remember about my memories of the early days, early childhood days, what do I remember? I remember about the horses. So he was fascinated towards horses. He was attracted. He liked horses. And what was his biggest longing, his desire? His desire was to take a ride on a horse. This was a wonderful part. In the second place, we were poor. So he was happy to see the horse. But then they were very poor. They could not afford to buy a horse. This was the part that wouldn't permit me to believe what I saw. So, he says that he could not believe that Murad has got a horse. Why? Because they were very poor to purchase a horse. And that's the reason why he could not believe his eyes. We were poor, we had no money. Our whole tribe was poverty stricken. Even every branch of the Gregorian family was living in the most amazing and comical poverty in the world. So he said we were very poor. Right? Every member of the tribe, Gregorian tribe, was poor. And we were so poor that I don't think that anybody else in the world would be so poor. Nobody could understand where we ever got money enough to keep us with food in our bellies, not even the old men of the family. So what they're saying, nobody could understand. Nobody could know how and from where to get money so that we could at least get food to suffice our hunger, to fulfill our hunger. Right? That was the biggest question. Most important of all, though we were famous for our honesty, we had been famous for our honesty for something like 11 centuries. So he says the most important thing, though we were poor, but the most important thing is that we are known for the honesty. Our tribe is known for honesty. Nobody else, none other tribe is as honest as ours. So that is the trait, that is the symbol mark, trademark for our society. even when we had been the wealthiest family in what we like to think was the world. So he says, even when we were very rich, that is once upon a time, maybe we were very rich, he says. So at that time also we were honest, and today when we are very poor, we don't have food, enough food to satisfy our hunger. Still, the thing that we have not lost, though we have lost all our wealth, everything, but honesty is something that our tribe still holds on. Right? We were proud first, honest next, and after that we believed in right and wrong. So first thing, they were very proud to be part of that tribe. Second thing, they were very honest. And after that came anything like believing in right or wrong. So first important thing was they were very proud and they were very honest. None of us would take advantage of anybody in the world, let alone steal. So if we knew that something or someone can provide us with something or they can be helpful for us, so we never try to take advantage of them. So stealing is something which can never be thought of. We can never think of stealing. Consequently, even though I could see the horse so magnificent, even though I could smell it so lovely, even though I could hear it breathing so exciting, I couldn't believe the horse had anything to do with my cousin Murad or with me or with any of other members of our family. So what he says, I kept on looking at the horse, and in my room, standing near the window, I could feel him. I could see the magnificence, that is how magnificent, how big it was, how enormous it was. And then even though I could smell it so lovely, that means because he is so much attracted towards the horse, he says he smelled so good, right? The smell of the horse was so good, and apart from that, even though I could hear it breathe so excited. So he could even feel the breath of the horse, and that made him very excited. But though he could feel the horse, he could smell the horse, and he was very excited, but he says the thought remains the same, that this horse has nothing to do with my cousin Murad or me or anyone in the family, because we are so poor, none of us can afford to have a horse. Asleep or awake, because I knew my cousin Murad couldn't have bought the horse, and if he couldn't have bought it, it must have stolen it, and I refused to believe he had stolen it. So he says, the family members who are awake or sleeping, none of us can have a horse. And he was very sure that even Murad does not have that much money that he could purchase a horse. So if this thought stands ruled out, like he cannot purchase the horse, that means the other option is that he had stolen the horse. But he could not really believe, he could not really trust, he could not really take the thought that Murad has stolen the horse, because he is still with the idea that the tribe people are the most honest people on the land, on the earth. No member of the Gregorian family could be a thief. Same thing. He is not able to believe the things. I stared first at my cousin and then at the horse. There was a pious stillness and humor in each of them, which on the one hand delighted me and on the other frightened. So now what he says, that he kept on staring. Sometimes he would look at Murad, sometimes he would look at the horse, and he was in confusion. He was all confused. He didn't know what to do. Murad, I said, where did you steal this horse? Leap out of the window, he said, if you want to ride. So he is not getting out of the house because he is frightened that if they are caught, there would be trouble. They would be punished because he's still a small boy of 9 years age. So he's worried about all these things, about the consequences that they would face if they are caught. So meanwhile, Murad asked, "Are you interested in coming out? If you want to have a ride, come out of the window quickly." It was true then. So Murad just tried to overlook, tried to ignore his question that where did you steal the horse? He did not give answer. This made Aram sure that yes, horse was a stolen horse. He had stolen the horse. There was no question about it. He had come to invite me to ride or not, as I chose. So he says now he's confirmed. Murad, not answering his question, had confirmed that the horse was a stolen horse. And he had only come here to ask me if I would like to go with him on a ride or no. Well, it seemed to me stealing a horse for a ride was not the same thing as stealing something else, such as money. So now a child believes. Right? For him, he says that stealing a horse just for taking a ride is nothing much serious. Yes, it would have been serious if I would have stolen some money. So this is here what is seen. It is seen that he is very childish, an innocent boy, right? And we as children have some or the other time really done this. Okay, that we take somebody's things, we do that, and then we feel that's nothing wrong. Like for example, suppose at home your elder brother or sister has got some toy and is not giving you, not sharing with you. So in his absence, what do? We go and take that. So taking somebody's things without permission is also equivalent to stealing. But then do we think that it is stealing? No. I have only taken this for some time. I'll play and then I'll keep it back. Right? And brother will also not be angry because I will not tell him that I was playing with your toy. Right? But imagine that toy is broken. What would be the condition? Get good beating. The brother is going to fight with you terribly. So don't do that. Now come back to the lesson. So he is just trying to mold himself. He is trying to console himself. He is trying to say that okay, even if I go for a ride, that is nothing wrong. And he is trying to prove that whatever he will be doing, that will not be termed as something wrong. For all I knew, maybe it wasn't stealing at all. If you were crazy about horses, the way my cousin Murad and I were, it wasn't stealing. So he says, now I have finally taken a decision that it is not stealing. And you would have also not termed it as stealing. He says, if you were also crazy for a horse, just like me and my cousin Murad, it wouldn't become stealing until we offered to sell the horse, which of course I knew we would never do. So he says, this would not be stealing until and unless we are not taking this horse to sell. We are only going to take this horse for a ride. Right? We will only ride on this horse and we will never sell this horse. So then it will never be termed as a steal. Let me put on some clothes, I said. Alright, he said, but hurry. I leaped into my clothes. I jumped down to the yard from the window and leaped up onto the horse behind my cousin Murad. So quickly he says, I'll get ready. He dressed himself and he jumped into the yard. And from there he sat behind his cousin Murad on the horse. That year we lived at the edge of town on on Walnut Avenue. Behind our house was a country, vineyards, orchards, irrigation ditches and other roads, country roads. So now he is saying that we were riding and we were living at a particular place. From there we started riding and we were crossing different places and moving ahead. In less than 3 minutes we were on Olive Avenue. From one avenue we reached to another one. And then the horse began to trot. The air was new and lovely to breathe. So the trot is the way the horse walks. And he could feel that morning fresh air. Right? He was enjoying that fresh morning air. The feel of the horse running was new and lovely to breathe. That air was very fresh, but it was more enjoyable, it was more loving. Why? Because he was riding on a horse. And on the horse he was able to feel all that. Okay? The feel of the horse running was wonderful. My cousin Murad, who was considered one of the craziest members of our family, began to sing. He began to roar. So he says, it was really a wonderful feeling to ride on a horse. And my cousin Murad, as earlier also he has said that he is the crazy person. Says he is the craziest of our family. Nobody is like him in the family except one of their uncle, Khusro. That will be coming later in the later part of the lesson. So he says he is very crazy, and now he was also very happy. So what did he start? He started singing loudly. And then he corrects himself. It was not really singing, but it was roaring. That means Murad did not sing melodiously. Okay? Every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere, and my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak of our tribe. Before him, our uncle Khusro, an enormous man with a powerful head of black hair and the largest moustache in the San Joaquin Valley, a man so furious in temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. It is no harm, pay no attention to it. So now here he is saying that Murad is so crazy. There is nobody like him in our tribe. And then he says there is only one person that Murad resembles. It is Uncle Khusro. He seems to be natural descendant. Means it doesn't seem that he is uncle, but it seems that Murad is his own child. Uncle Khusro is a biological father of him. He says he has all the traits of Uncle Khusro, but he is not. Uncle Khusro is also an uncle for Murad also. So he says, and he is then giving us the traits, the personality traits of Uncle Khusro, who had been very powerful man. Right? Powerful man with head means he is very strong, short-tempered, easily getting angry. Right? And then he is staying, he has got long moustache with black hair in the San Joaquin Valley. Now what is San Joaquin Valley? Coming to the towards the end of the page, it is there. One of the long interior valleys of California. A man so furious in temper means he is very short-tempered. Extremely short-tempered. So irritable. He gets irritated with even a very small little thing. He gets irritated. He starts shouting, and he is very impatient. He cannot listen to anybody. He is not patient enough to hear to somebody speaking. And if somebody would speak, he would only roar, he would only shout and put that person quiet by saying, it's no harm, pay no attention to it. Okay? So this is the dialogue. He would always keep on saying if anybody would speak in front of him. Why? Because he did not like listening to the people talking. So that's all for today. We'll continue with it in the next class. Until then, keep studying, keep learning, keep experiencing, and keep eating lots of citrus fruits. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.